The principal culture in the African Pacific. Obviously, most of the best thing is not ANC like what you get. That's the reason why because it's not I've seen so many people struggling with height of success for you. So that when we get an opportunity,
Thank you very much for joining us to this discussion today. With us, we have our speaker, Dan Mugera. Dan Mugera is a public speaker, and today he's talking to us about public speaking and how we make our public speaking more effective. He'll be taking us through the tenets of good public speaking and what needs to be done to ensure that we are good public speakers. My name is Livingston Makori from the Corporate Career Academy. We are privileged to have leaders from across our higher learning institutions, and thank you very much. For those who have joined us, you are free to just comment where you come from, your university, so that we can also be able to follow and maybe know where you come from. Should you have a question for our speaker, can also feel free to just share your question on the chat, share your question on Facebook, on YouTube again, so that we are able to discuss. So without much ado, Dan, welcome to our session. This is a session to build leaders, and career being a leader, part of leadership is a career also. So we are building leaders who can be able to take career to the next level and also lead internationally and locally. So without much ado, I'll wish to welcome you to this discussion. Thank you for heeding to our invitation to come. Probably we could start by you giving us an introduction. Some may want to know who is this Dan Mugera. So Dan, welcome to the discussion today.
Thank you. Thank you, Livingston. I'm glad to be here. And greetings to all the student leaders represented in this particular forum. My name, as you have heard, is Dan Mugera. I am a coach, I am a speaker, I am a counselor also. And when Livingston gave me this opportunity to speak to you, I told him that I will be more than glad to be able to come and share some of the tips as far as public speaking is concerned. I run the Africa Center for Public Speaking that has his presence here in Nairobi, Mombasa, and also in Kampala, Uganda. And we have coached and trained over 2,000 professionals over the years. And this to us is very, very key. As part of the leadership programs to develop leaders who are able to communicate effectively with their audience. In life, I subscribe to the philosophies of three gentlemen. The first one is Jesus Christ, who said, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." Then the philosophy of Dr. Michael Migridge, who said, "Blessed are the flexible, for they shall not be bent out of shape." And then last one is from Dale Carnegie, who said, "Blessed are those who make short speeches, for they shall be invited again to speak. And so today is one of those days that I don't want to make a long speech, but just a short speech, and then we can engage in discussion and connect with each other as far as this important subject of public speaking is concerned. The world is ruled by public speakers. That is our topic today. And I don't know when you saw that topic, what came to your mind. Whether we like it or not, the world is ruled by public speakers. Whether it's in the world of politics, to the world of science and technology, or we move into the world of sports and entertainment, or to the world of business, you will find that those who are able to craft a message and bring it out with confidence will end up assuming leadership faster and influence more than those who cannot be able to do that. And you being student leaders, you understand this better, that you can never be a great leader if you do not know how to communicate. In fact, it is said that some of the best thinkers in the world today are not leaders. Why? Because they cannot communicate. Whether we are looking at Martin Luther King Jr. to Barack Obama, one thing stood out as far as these gentlemen are concerned, and that was the ability to pass a message effectively. Whether we are looking at Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere, the first president of Tanzania, to now the current president, Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan, who visited Kenya recently, one thing stands out, that leaders must master the art of communication. Effective communication is therefore very key to enable a leader not only to pass a message effectively, but also to influence the people that they are leading. Whether we go to the world of academics and we talk about Dambisa Moyo, the Zambian economist, to our own Professor PLO Lumumba, communication, the ability to speak effectively is very key. From Jomo Kenyatta to Tom Mboya, Patrice Emery Lumumba to Mama Graca Machel, you will realize that if you want to rule your world and to rule the world in one way or another, then you will need to understand that public speaking is not an option. Proper communication skills is not an option. It is mandatory for every leader who aspires to be a great leader. And so today, I want us to look at only 3 keys or 3 strategies that can enable you become a better public speaker or a better communicator whenever you find yourself with an opportunity to speak or to present yourself before an audience. And the first one that I want to give it to you is simplify the message. Simplify the message. When you have an opportunity to speak to an audience, simplify the message. The lesson here is not just what you say, but how you say it. It's not just what you say, but how you say it. You know, the communicator takes a message and simplify it. That is the work of a communicator. The educator complicates the message. The communicator simplifies the message. The communicator gives a point for the head and a picture for the heart. The communicator gives a point for the head and a picture for the heart. They are not just interested in giving points to the head, but also they give a picture to the heart. Now, there are lovely rules of communication that you can use to simplify your message. And one of them is you need to have a strong beginning. When you have an opportunity to present yourself, have a strong beginning. Now, I know some of you will ask, Dan, when does a strong beginning begins? And this is what I will tell you, a strong beginning begins right from the time you get invited to take over the podium and share your message. That's when a strong beginning begins. The moment you stand and you're walking to the stage, you have already begun your speech non-verbally. When you stand and open your mouth, that is what we call verbal beginning. And then one theme, stick to one theme, stick to one theme. One of the greatest sin of many speakers is digression. People waste a lot of time saying a lot of things before diving into their main message. So stick to one theme. And then simple language. Use language that is understandable to your audience. I do understand that all of us come from different professional backgrounds, and each profession has its own language or technical language that you can use to communicate to your people. As a psychologist, I will let you know that when I'm communicating to my fellow psychologists, I can use psychological terminologies, and that will be understood faster by them. But when I'm talking to a general audience, I cannot dare use psychological terminologies. And if I do use, then I have to explain exactly what does that mean. So simple language, and then familiar picture. Use familiar pictures. That is very, very key because it enables your audience to connect with you, with your message, and connect with you. You bring relevance into your message when you use familiar pictures. So to help us in simplifying the message, have a strong beginning, one theme, simple language, and familiar pictures. At the African Center for Public Speaking, our philosophy is extemporaneous speaking. We want people to break away from reading speeches and come to a level where they can communicate effectively without much reading. Now, most people will ask, is that possible? I say, yes. That's how our grandfathers and our great-grandfathers and grandmothers used to do it. They never used to read speeches. Whoever bewitched us that we need to depend fully in reading speeches instead of internalizing the message completely misled us, because then we lose our connection with the audience that we want to communicate with. So develop yourself as you simplify your message to make sure that you internalize your message to deliver it effectively. Strategy 2 is share the passion. It's not just enough to simplify the message, you need to share the passion. The lesson is not just what you say, but why you say it. It's not just what you say, but why you say it. Well, let me tell you this, that passion is the drive. Nelson Mandela said there is no passion to be found playing small in living a life less than the one that you are capable of living. A speaker with passion has a drive to deliver his message the way it's supposed to be. Now, let me tell you this. There are no boring subjects, only boring speakers. There are no boring audiences, only boring speakers. If you are interested in your audience will be interested in you. And so passion becomes key to enable you to connect with your audience and deliver your message effectively. Now, there are tips that can enable you to speak with passion. When you master them, you are able to deliver your message effectively, passionately. So one is you need to speak on themes that you own for yourself. You need to speak on themes that you own for yourself. And this sometimes takes time before you get to know exactly what is your message, what do you want to give to the world. When students come to our center, may they go through the professional speakers course or they go through the regular personal coaching, then they are able to understand exactly what is that they want to tell the world. Because you can't tell the world everything. You need to know exactly what is that you want to tell the world and develop a message out of that to move yourself into the next level. And then be impact conscious rather than image conscious. Unfortunately, we live in a world that is, people are out to impress people with the outward things instead of the intelligence and capacity that is inside of them. Now, a speaker needs to be impact conscious rather than image conscious. And don't get me wrong, it is important to have a good image, to dress nicely. But listen to me, dressing nicely, grooming yourself nicely is not the message. I have seen people dress so smartly until they open their mouth. And then you realize they are not as smart as the way they are dressed. So be impact conscious rather than image conscious. And then be authentic. Lock onto a pair of eyes with each point. Lock onto a pair of eyes with each point. Now, I know here is where the difficult comes, because you tell me, Dan, we are in Africa and some of the cultures demands that you should not look at people straight in the eyes when you're communicating to them. So what happens? How do you connect with your audience when you're not looking at them? Suppose you're looking straight ahead, or you're looking at people's foreheads, or you're looking up, but you're not looking at your audience. How do you get to connect with them so that they can believe that you are authentic with what you are saying? And then know what your goal is when you communicate or when you speak. But the most important thing to enable you to develop passion is prepare, 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 prepare. You cannot afford to go before an audience without preparation. And preparation is not setting down of some mechanical sentences on paper, and then you go ahead and read that to the audience. Really, preparation consists of digging something out of yourself and then assembling and arrange your own thoughts and then cherishing and nurturing your own conviction. Every time you speak, every time I speak, there is conviction that comes out. My beliefs, my values, my principles come out through my message. And so you have to cherish and nurture your own convictions. You have to cherish and nurture your own convictions. And then finally, the third strategy that I want to leave with you is seek the response. Seek the response. It is important for you to speak to an audience and expecting them to respond to your message. Right now, even as I'm speaking to you, I am expecting response from you. The lesson here, it's not just what you say, but how people respond to your message. It's not just what you say, but how people respond to your message. And people do respond in different ways. When you are keen, as you deliver your message to the audience, you will see people nodding their head. Now, I'm doing virtual here. It may be difficult to be able to see that, but when I'm speaking to a physical audience, then you will see people nodding their head. You see some of them smiling when you say something fun, or laughing, or applauding when you say something, or taking notes of something. But also one of the best ways to note whether people are listening to you is during time of question and answer. That's when you know that people really were following what you are saying. Now let me tell you this, that a good message includes three things. Something for the audience to know, information, something for the audience to feel, emotional, and something for the audience to do, application. Something for the audience to know, information, something for the audience to feel, emotional, something for the audience to do, application. And I want to believe that if all of us would take heed and begin to prepare ourselves and treat public speaking sacredly, and develop ourselves to understand how to simplify our message, share the passion, and seek the response whenever we stand to communicate, we will indeed deliver a great message and influence people. Thank you very much, and may God bless you.
Wow, thank you very much, Dan Mugera. You've really been straight to the point. Maybe I just give room for questions, but before that, I want to appreciate some of us who have joined us and have written on the chat. Thank you, Viongos, for coming. Boniface from Technical University of Kenya, thank you very much for joining. We have Joel Okonjo from Technical University of Kenya. We have Cynthia Omondi, Masinde Muliro University, thank you very much. We have Kerubo Sophia, Taita Taveta University, thank you. Dan Kanimbabu, Taita Taveta, welcome. Kennedy Chimoto from Machakos University, you're welcome. Derek from Chuka University, Ivusa, welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome. Joseph Chilo from Machakos University, thank you very much for coming. Nadeke Kevin, Machakos University, Karibu. Kipletin Kilio from Taita Taveta, thank you very much. We have Chalo Mulua from Technical University, welcome, welcome. Douglas from Douglas, you didn't indicate your university, thank you very much. I can see Trifanolo from Technical University of Kenya, Waziri, thank you very much. Koechi Flossi, and many more others. So maybe we can go to questions, but one of the things I've been asked before, and Dan, I may wish us to share this. Leaders will be asking us, public speaking is so important, and probably we may not learn this art of public speaking in our universities. How do leaders in this level ensure that they are able to improve their public speaking skills?
Thank you, Livingston. I think one of the most important things that I've noticed is, and when I engage my clients, I ask them one question when we are doing the unit called The Voice. So I ask them, how many of you in your college you are ever taught on a unit called The Voice? And everybody answers that yes, they have not been taught about The Voice. And I tell them, your lecturers use The Voice to teach you, and they expect you to rise up the ranks, go out there, convince an interviewing panel using The Voice that you are the most qualified person to be given the job, but you are not taught on the importance of the voice and how to use the voice accordingly to deliver your message effectively. And then the whole aspect of public speaking and communication skills. I know communication skills or communication is taught, but the practical aspect of enabling people to understand the importance of communication skills is what is lacking in our education. And that's why we come in to fill in the gap through personal development, because this is a soft skill that can be attained at any level by anybody who is keen to develop themselves. So Livingston, yes, it could be that other university people are not taught this subject, exhaustively, but, people have an opportunity now to develop themselves and package themselves as individuals who can effectively deliver a message whenever they have an opportunity to do so.
Wow, thank you very much. I just want to appreciate those who have joined us. Biriti Gadhambi, Taita Taveta, thank you very much. I've seen Masai Mara, Ruth and Jerry Kimani, Masai Mara, thank you very much for coming. Lewis Ndungu, Masinde Muliro, thank you very much. Grace Ann, Technical University of Kenya, thank you very much. Tony Hedrich, Machakos University, thank you very much. So maybe I've seen a question here through text. And these leaders are asking themselves now, how can they get such an information? I know it should be the last question, but we can just ask it here. Should they want to develop their leadership skills? Mm-hmm. How can they get this training in a more holistic way?
Good. At the Africa Center for Public Speaking, we do offer different courses that are related to public speaking and also leadership development programs. We do have the professional speakers course, which takes 5 weeks. Classes are done 3 times in a week. And we also do have a regular personal coaching program, which is done on one-on-one, very flexible in the way it's handled. But again, Livingstone, I would like to challenge you and the students also, if they are keen, this is also a forum that we can use, okay? The online forum that we can use to develop students that are willing to develop their skills as far as public speaking is concerned. So yes, people can enroll as far as our center is concerned, but at the same time, this is a good forum that we can also use. And also right now with Zoom, you know, people can actually do presentations, get feedback and assessment as far as their speeches are concerned, and slowly by slowly they can develop to the next level. So either they come to the center or we create a platform right here that will enable them to become great communicators.
Yeah, thank you very much. So maybe I get another question. Is dressing, Kevin is asking, is dressing code has got, okay, what it means here, does dressing code have any effect in your speaking?
Dressing code is important, okay? What we call externals. It is important to dress appropriately when you're going before an audience. But people should not confuse dressing with the speaking, because sometimes people over-prepare in the way they dress or grooming, but when it comes to the message, they have not done their homework very well. So dressing, yes, it's important. But again, the most important thing, remember, it's not your dressing, it is the message that you have to deliver. And so you have to make sure that you deliver that message effectively.
Okay, thank you. The other question I have on the text, okay, let me ask this one first. How can someone who is not a good public speaker, but he or she is a leader, start developing himself or herself to be a good public speaker? That's a question from Derek Ifuza.
Practicals, practicals, practicals. People must begin to treat public speaking as a very, very important skill and begin to develop themselves. And it's not just enough to read books on public speaking. It is by doing. The more you keep standing, learning from other people, then you stand before an audience and keep doing it, you will keep improving. And the more you engage coaches to help you in developing yourself to become effective in delivering a message, the more you keep improving. So there are a lot of opportunities for anybody to develop themselves and keep growing in the art of public speaking.
Yeah, Derek Pamba is asking, do you believe the notion that leaders are made, not born?
Leaders are made, leaders are born. That's both, I believe in both of those particular statements. As a student of leadership who have studied leadership extensively, I know that there are people who are born with a level or capacity to lead, but even those people need to develop themselves. They need to be made. There is nobody who is an island. And also, if somebody was not born with capacity to lead, they can also be made and move themselves to the next level. So there are 3 categories of people: those who understand leadership, those who can be made to understand leadership, and then there is another level that don't understand leadership at all because they have chosen not to understand leadership. So if you are a student leader, it means either you understand leadership or you have been made to understand leadership, and that's why you can be able to lead.
Okay, thank you very much. Winnie Mweni from Maseno University, thank you very much for contacting us. Teresia Mudeu Chalo, Machakos University. There's a question here from Danstan Safu. what happens when someone is good at giving out ideas that have great impact to society, but the person is not talkative? He's asking about those people who may not be able to speak, but they have very nice ideas.
And that's where the problem comes in. You know, history tells us about Elisha Gray. Elisha Gray was an African-American who actually is credited as the first man to invent the telephone. But you know what? When they went to court, during that time you needed to defend yourself. He could not communicate effectively to defend himself. And so Alexander Graham Bell, he is widely known as the inventor, yet it was Elisha Gray who came up with that. You could have wonderful ideas, but let me tell you, if you give me those ideas and I go out and present them effectively, you know what will happen? People will think I'm the one who owns the idea, not you. And so those people with great ideas, they don't need to stop there. It's good to have great ideas, but how do you get yourself to that level where you can communicate your ideas? Whether you are an introvert or an extrovert, all of us can develop ourselves to communicate our message effectively. And we get a good example from Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs ideally is an introverted person, but he could not just afford to be making the Apple products and stop there. Steve Jobs developed his communication skill, and he was the one who was launching, when he was alive, launching the Apple product. And what did he used to do? Steve Jobs, through his communication, will turn his customers into evangelists who will go out there and talk more about what he has said in relation to the products that he had launched. And that's how the Apple product or the Apple brand grew. So you have ideas, you need to develop yourself to communicate effectively. One of the greatest leaders in the world, then when he was leading, he realized he was not great. He said, if I could start all over again, I will go back to school and learn how to communicate. Because this leader realized he had a lot of ideas, but when he was leading, he could not communicate effectively his ideas and influence people. And so he said, if I could start all over again in my life, I will go back to school and learn how to communicate. Thank you.
Wow. Well, I have Kevin Mlama from YouTube is asking, which is the best way to address emotional students?
The best way to address emotional students is to understand first their emotions. Capture and develop what is called emotional intelligence. At our center, we teach a subject called the psychology of persuasion. Psychology of persuasion, once we understand the basics of psychology and the nitty-gritty of persuasion as far as psychology is concerned, then you can be able to master any type of people in whatever time, at whatever level, and be able to connect with them at their level and influence them. And so the best way to communicate effectively to emotional students is to develop emotional intelligence, understand the nitty-gritty of psychology of persuasion so that you can connect with them at their level and speak a message that is relevant, that will calm them down. If their emotions are towards maybe rioting or towards a negative thing, then how do you sober them and bring them to that level where they can be able to understand you?
Wow, thank you very much. I have Hemstone Omondi is asking, what is the best part of being a team leader and the worst?
The best part of being a team leader is, this is how I say, is the ability to get people to do things for you or for the organization without feeling coerced or manipulated. The worst part of being a team leader is when your leadership style tends to manipulate and coerce people, the vice versa of what I just said. coerce people, and people begin to discover that you actually don't have their best interests in their heart. And so they begin now to resist you because you are no longer a leader at that time, you are simply taking a walk. John Maxwell, my mentor, says, if anybody thinks he's a leader, let him look back and see whether there is anybody following. If there is nobody following you, you are simply taking a walk. You are not leading anybody. You're muted, Livingstone.
Sorry. We have a question from, just a minute. Stella is saying, a leader who can, as a leader, how can you handle people naturally who have negative attitude to leaders, especially when they feel they are bigger than their leaders?
Mm-hmm. We have a course, it's called Mentality Change 101. And that course aims at changing people's mentality. And I believe one of the greatest jobs of every leader, especially on this side of the world, is to transform people's mentality. Because you will meet with all kinds of people. Your work is to understand them and be able to see how do you influence them positively so that they can become resourceful. Because you will meet with people who are passive-aggressive, you will meet with people who are aggressive, and you will meet with people who are passive. So how do you turn the aggressive and the passive-aggressive sometimes to a level where they can also begin to bring out their solution into the team? It is difficult sometimes, especially when you have people who are too much no, but you have a responsibility. We do have a responsibility at every level to make sure we combine both uncompromising higher challenge and also understanding the energy that is in our people and turn it for our good. Yes, Livingston.
Okay. Marcus is asking, are leaders associated to specific temperaments? If no, what can be the leadership approach for melancholics and pragmatics?
I've done this study extensively as a psychologist on temperament and leadership. Of course, cholerics are said to be natural leaders, but also different blends of personalities. When we come to the personality assessment test, which enables you to get the blend, then you realize that it's not only choleric sanguines, a blend of choleric and sanguine in one person that can cause them to be great leader, but also choleric melancholy. Some of the great leaders in the world were actually cholerics melancholy. They had a part of them which is extroverted and a part of them which is introverted. And so melancholies and phlegs also have an opportunity based on who they are and their temperament to lead from a particular level. So remember, personality temperaments are predisposed to lead in different levels. And so when you understand yourself and your personality temperament and understand the key skills that you have and develop them, all of us can lead, because all of us have a level of influence to the world. So whether somebody is a choleric or they are sanguines or they are melancholies or they are phlegmatic, they first need to understand which is their personality blend. Are they choleric sanguines, choleric male, choleric or clo phleg? Or are they maybe sang male, sang clo, or sang phleg? Or are they male clo, male sang, or male phleg? When you get to understand your blend, then you are able to know how you function and the best way to influence people. There are people who are designed to influence people through argument, others through persuasion. Others are designed to influence people through exposition. Others are designed to influence people through suggestion. Others through narration. And so when you understand yourself, you position yourself to understand your capacity to influence your world in the best way possible. But I agree, it's a deep subject that we may not be able to exhaust it here. We have to contextualize it to the individual and what really is their personality, temperament, and how they can function in the best way possible.
Thank you, Dan. There's somebody who is asking, what do you say of those leaders who keep on saying leadership is not in me, and yet you can see something good in them?
I see a lot of people who are like that, and most of the time it's a problem of self-esteem. It is not new. In the Bible, there were people also who were like that. Gideon, Moses himself, who denied that capacity. And in the world today, we have seen a lot of leaders who have a lot of capacity, but some of them even went to the cemetery with their capacity to lead because of low self-esteem. So how do you make them aware of what is affecting them and keep encouraging them slowly to take steps? And slowly by slowly, as they take the little steps and begin to see results, leader. Some of the leaders that we have today, when they began, they were in miserable position. They didn't really believe in themselves. But there was a person or some people who saw what they could not see in themselves and encouraged them and mentored them and pushed them forward to even lead. So if you see that in somebody and you think they can be your leader, encourage them and support them and push them forward. That's how it's called leading the leader, to manifest that particular glory in that particular person.
Thank you very much, Dan. Then the last question is, which books do you recommend for leaders, especially the young leaders? Somebody has asked that question from, Hamston Omonde again.
Okay. I'm a student of John Maxwell, and I belong to the John Maxwell Team. So one of the books that I would recommend is called The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Now, we also have a course based on that particular book that we do coach people on that. This is a Fortune 500 course that is taught to Fortune 500 companies across the world. And so the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, it's very, 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 very candid. And when you are reading, sometimes I ask people to read the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership and the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, and understand when you are reading that book, read it with a critical mind when you are reading the two books so that you can understand the weaknesses in the 48 Laws of Power vis-a-vis the strength in the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, to enable you now to apply the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership instead of applying the 48 Laws of Power that tend to be more manipulative rather than impactful to people. But another book that I usually recommend is a classic book by Dr. Joseph Murphy. It's called The Power of the Subconscious Mind, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, that really enables you to move into the next level. And if you are looking also for a book that seeks to really transform your mentality as a leader and be able to understand the mentalities of people, then my new book, Eradicating a Poverty Mentality, it's very key because it goes deeper than just matters of poverty as we see it, into our own mentality, discovering our gift and talent and how to make use of that in impacting our world.
Wow, thank you very much. Because of time, we want to give you a chance to give your closing remarks as we even conclude. We have another session coming up in the next 10 minutes, talking about leadership and mentorship. So our speaker is also waiting. Probably you can give us closing remarks as we conclude this discussion.
Thank you very much. I really want to appreciate you, Livingstone, and and the students for having given me this opportunity to communicate this message to you. And I want to believe that we'll continue with this conversation. People can reach out to us. You can visit our website. That is www.publicspeakingtc.org to see what we offer. But also I'm very much online, either it's my YouTube channel, Dan Mugera, or you're looking at, you want to look at me on Facebook as Dan Mugera, you can be able to find me there and we can continue with this engagement. So thank you very much, and I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Dan, for gracing this occasion. We really appreciate your coming. We know it takes time to come to this meeting. So thank you. We appreciate the work the center is doing. And as we discussed, we'll have something for students going forward, and we will be getting in touch to know how do we mentor our students, how do we train them to become the best leaders of our tomorrow. So thank you very much for those who are watching us through the YouTube channel. Thank you very much, Facebook, and those who tuned in through the Zoom. We are having another session with a great leader to talk about leadership and mentorship. Do join us for that discussion. May God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.